Never say this to your agent when buying a home, because your agent is the person you talk to the most. You tell them your wants, your worries, and your budget. And it feels like the more open you are, the better they can help. But that's a trap, because there are 5 common things people tell their agents that quietly work against them. Because the truth is, there are great real estate agents that will make your life easier, and then there's some bad agents. And unfortunately for the bad agents, they make it like their life mission to get you the most expensive house that you can't afford. And I know this because I'm a mortgage expert who's helped over 500 families, and I've worked with the whole spectrum of great agents all the way to bad agents. So I'm gonna show you the 5 things you should never say and how to test for it to see if your agent's on the good side or on the dark side. And miss just one of these 5 and you could be out thousands of dollars. Now I wanna start with never show that you're head over heels for a house. So let me explain. I don't want you to say to your agent that you'll do whatever it takes to win a house. The second those words leave your mouth, the whole game changes, because you just told your realtor, no need to negotiate. You don't need to do your job well, just get it accepted. And getting an offer accepted, if there's no boundaries or constraints, could be really easy. Meaning if you have an unlimited budget, it's pretty easy to get your offer accepted. Oh, the house is worth $500,000. I'm just gonna offer $1 million, right? Like, that's easy to get accepted. A great agent will take your constraints, like your budget, the location, timeline, must-haves, and makes it work for you. And here's the thing. So humans will naturally pick the path of least resistance pretty much every time. I mean, think about it logically, right? And that's a problem because it's probably the biggest purchase of your life. Now, I'm going to say that you don't need to be like stone cold faced the whole time and, show that you hate everything, have your arms crossed, not actually be a normal human being when you're talking to your real estate agent who is on your team, by the way. And I'm also saying, like, you don't need to have every interaction to be blunt, not at all. You also don't need to have an RBF, right? You know what that means. Resting, face. So this is actually something that I'm going through right now, given, the 5 Ds of buying a house, which are diamonds, diapers, downsizing, divorce, and death, which, by the way, those are probably one of the main drivers as to why you're potentially wanting to buy. So right now we got diapers, right? Not me, but my newborn son. So we're actually considering moving. So we saw 2 houses that we really love and we really like. This is what I let the agent know. Say, hey, great house, checks out a lot of the boxes. And it's one of those agents that we work with quite often. So obviously we can have an honest conversation. Now, I don't like that, I like this. Now, every house can't be perfect, but you'll definitely enjoy the house more than others, right? So here's what I would do instead, is I would do a slight reframe. Instead of, oh, I would do whatever it takes to win this house, I'm head over heels for it, I love it, this is the dream house, whatever, right? I would reframe that to, hey, it checks off a lot of the boxes, I like it. Now let's try to figure out, how do we push hard and get a solid deal? Now, this doesn't mean that you need to be stone cold faced the whole time, like I mentioned. Also, the other thing too is if you feel like you can't be honest, now you don't need to be head over heels, but just being like honest about your feelings with your realtor or even your lender / mortgage advisor, that's probably a sign that you got the wrong who. You should be able to trust the person with high stakes decisions. If you don't, then you probably have the wrong person. The way I think about it, it's like, think about getting on a plane. You don't tell the pilot, hey, I might go to Japan, I might go to Italy, I don't know. They should know exactly where you're trying to go, right? That way they can get you there on time safely. You should be able to, tell your trusted advisors what you want. If you can't, they are honestly not the right person or team for you. All right, so here's the test. So each of these 5 things to avoid telling your agent, I'm gonna give you a test as well, so that way you can figure out, are they on the great side, great agent, or are they on the dark side, right? So here's the test. So just like a job interview, right? At, let's say, Google, where they ask these weird, tough questions, right? You probably heard about them. It's not like they're looking for the perfect answer. They're actually looking at how you think through problem solving. That's what this test is for. And I think it's probably the most valuable part of the video, because it's going to give you actionable steps to help protect you. So how do you actually test for this? So here's the move. When you're standing in the house you love, ask your agent one question. What's wrong with this house? A good agent will tell you the busy road out front, the roof that is 20 years old, and so it's maybe got another 5 years left. The 3rd bedroom that's has got a really weird closet or something like that. A bad agent on the dark side, they're gonna say, honestly, everything's perfect. It's great for you. Let's put an offer in, right? So let me sink this in, right? I'm gonna shake myself, younger self. Okay, this is my message to me. No house is perfect. Zero, literally zero. If you can't name one single flaw on a house that you love, they're definitely not advising you. Okay, so we just talked about the feeling of a house. Let's talk about the fear of missing out, or FOMO. And real quick, before we get into the FOMO one, if you're stuck wondering if you're actually ready to buy a house or not, that's actually why I made the free homebuyer readiness quiz. It takes less than 30 seconds. There's no credit pull. Plus, if you have any constraints in the home buying process, I send you a video there to solve it so that way you can move on to the next step, because the most prepared buyers get the best deals. Also, right below that link, if you wanted a more custom one-on-one plan, there's actually a guidance call right below there. And that's if you want more tailored advice, because the more specific the advice, the better the advice is going to be. And if it makes sense, maybe we can be your mortgage advisor too. All right. So next one, should I buy now before I get priced out? Now that's the next question, right? So never ask your agent, should I buy now before I get priced out? Now I get it. It feels like a smart, responsible question, right? Because truthfully, if you wait over a long enough time horizon, let's say, 30 years, the home price is going to be more expensive. That is true. But there's always this sweet spot that makes sense to purchase while also balancing out not making a dumb decision, right? So here's the thing about fear. We evolved to avoid danger and fear. It's the easiest motivator, right? Prices are only going to go up. Rates could jump up next month. This one won't last, things like that. And here's the problem is with having this fear, it kind of clouds your judgment and your buy the house for the wrong reasons, I should say. This is why it's important to understand what's actually the North Star of why you're buying, because that's going to be like your anchor, right? Remember I talked about the 5 Ds, diamonds, diapers, downsizing, divorce, or death. Those are huge motivating factors as to why you need to move. So first identify that. One of the favorite sayings that I wholeheartedly believe is fear is a mile wide, but an inch deep. Okay, so that's why actually understanding why you're buying will get you past that inch of fear, and then you're gonna realize, oh, it actually isn't that bad, right? But you first have to identify what step do I take, right? Anyways, so I'm also not saying the market doesn't matter at all, right? And you should never think about timing, right? No, not at all. FOMO is real. Rates are real. The fear of uncertainty is real. But here's the difference between thinking about the market and letting the market make you panic. So the first one is smart because you're making an informed decision. You're actually thinking about the market. The second one is not, because you're purely acting on emotion, right? So I'll give you an analogy, and hopefully this will resonate with you. Have you ever made a bad decision because you were too emotionally charged? If you would have just paused, let your emotions come down, maybe wait a day, go take a quick walk, come back to it, would you have made a better decision? Absolutely. For me too. Easily. I've made some terrible decisions by not thinking through things logically, not letting the emotions kind of simmer down a little bit, and then I make a decision, right? Now, I'm sure everyone else watching this video has had something like that before, right? So same thing probably happens when you buy a house. Okay, so here's the test. How would I actually test for this one? Because remember, what I like about these to do in these videos is to give you hey, this exists or this is the problem, but actually give you actionable steps to solve it, right? Instead of just talking about this, that's only half the equation. So here's what I would do, is ask your agent straight up this question. Is it a good time to buy? Then I want you to listen to the answer and how they answer it, and watch whether they ask you anything before the answer. So it's 3 parts to the equation, okay? A good or great agent can't answer that right away. They'll usually ask you some questions back. How long are you planning to stay? What does your money look like? What are you trying to do with this house specifically? Because the honest answer, it depends on you, right? It really does depend on you, because everyone's situation is very specific. A bad agent or an agent on the dark side, okay, fires back immediately, just under a second, is like, yeah, it's the best time ever. Rates are only going to go up. It's a perfect house. Let's do it right now. They just answered a question about your life without knowing a single thing about your life. How does that make sense? I want you to also think about it like a doctor. You go to the doctor and say, hey, should I take this pill? And they say, yes, perfect time to take it. Let's do it right now. Pills are only going to get more expensive. Let's make it happen. You'd be like, whoa, that's kind of weird, right? So what does actually a great doctor do? They ask you diagnosing questions to make sure you get the best advice. So same thing applies to a real estate agent, your lender, your mortgage advisor, your tax person, your financial advisor. It all applies to your financial team or your real estate team. So this is kind of like a universal test that I'm just giving you, by the way, is you can tell by someone's aptitude or let's call it expertise by the quality of their questions that they ask, because they can see around the corner, right? And if you're feeding them the answers, meaning they're not asking good questions, you got the wrong who. Okay, so we just talked about the fear that makes you rush into a bad decision. I've made bad decisions too. I've made emotionally charged decisions too. The goal is to get better, right? Now let's talk about a specific number that can make you house poor. All right, the next one is your maximum budget. Never tell your agent the real top of your budget. You know the line, well, we could probably stretch to 500,000 if we had to. And that's a real problem. It's not that knowing your max number is dangerous by itself. It's that almost nobody can cleanly tell the difference between their true maximum and their comfortable number maximum, if that makes sense. Not your agent, not your lender, sometimes not even you, right? So even when you're explaining, hey, this is my maximum, my comfortable maximum, this is, my hard ceiling, sometimes the other person's going to interpret that to, oh, okay, so I don't know what the definition of your maximum is, so I'm just going to define it myself, and I'm just going to say that's the target, right? So you can say the word ceiling, hey, that's my ceiling, that's my top of my budget, 10 times. The number still translates to a bad agent if as a target. And that's just how they might hear the number, right? So this reminds me of when I was training my dog Indy with her tricks and, when she was puppy and, now she's obviously a lot better. I'm going to throw some photos up here, of course, so that way you can like the video, please. Like the video for Indy. Her main job on this channel is to get more subscribers. So if the more subscribers, the more treats and fun she gets. All right. That's my selfish way of getting you to like me more. So, time to teach her the command stay, right? I say stay, then she comes like, no, stay. Okay, I'm going to come. No, stay. Anyone who's has a dog right now, when they're puppies, training, you got to say it 10 times and, they finally get it after the 50th, right? All right. So going back to home buying, because it's not all about fun and dogs here. This is serious channel. We're talking about mortgages. Mortgage is serious, no fun. So the safest move that I would do is keep the true top to yourself, like top maximum budget, subtract from there, and that's the number that you publicly disclose to your real estate agent, right? That way, even if they translate that to your target, then you still have some buffer just in case. Okay, so how do we actually test for this one? Here's the move. Give them the number under your ceiling. So you don't disclose it publicly. You just, take your actual comfortable maximum, you subtract some 100, 300, 400 bucks a month or whatever it is, and you disclose, this amount. Then I want you to watch what homes are being sent to your email. A great agent will respect that, and they're going to send you strong homes at your number, under your number, kind of in that range, that caliber of their home, because that's their job. And again, a good agent will also bring up some ideas like, hey, I know you mentioned you wanted these must-haves. That's going to change, obviously, your search criteria, and it might change your purchase price to be above that target that you wanted. Is that okay? They basically ask for permission, right? A bad agent keeps sending you houses that are completely out of your budget, like 20 times, all the time, and it's in a different stratosphere, literally, like not literally, right? It's still on Earth in the US, but basically without actual context of why they're actually sending it. That's the key thing, is they just send it without actually telling you why they're sending it. All right, so we talked about protecting the most important number, which is your budget. Now let's talk about protecting yourself from getting stuck with the wrong agent just in the first place. All right, so real quick, before we get into the next one, which is about contracts, if you're stuck wondering if you're actually ready to buy a house or not, that's actually why I built a free homebuyer readiness quiz. It takes less than 30 seconds, there's no credit pull, and it's my free gift to you. And the thing that I love about the roadmap or quiz that I built is the most prepared buyers get the best deals. And that's the goal of this thing, is to get you the most prepared. Also, if you wanted more of like a custom one-on-one plan, because remember, the more specific the advice, the better the advice is gonna be, so that way you don't make any mistakes when you're buying a house, or at least limit it as much as possible. There's a guidance call link down below where you actually get to chat with me. Yes, really me. And then we get to go over your goals, and I get to figure out a custom plan to get you there as fast as possible with the least amount of mistakes. And if it makes sense, maybe we can be your mortgage advisor too. All right, so this is the buyer or listing agreement length of the contract. So in today's market, whether you're buying or listing your home, you usually have to sign a contract with your real estate agent, whether you buy or list, okay? Listing meaning you're gonna sell the house to somebody else. Now, that agreement usually has a set amount of time. Maybe it's 3, 6, I've seen 12 months even, which is crazy, for you to find the right home or list your home and sell it to somebody and then move on with your life, right? And I would recommend is doing a 3-month agreement. So here's the problem with, let's say 6 months or even 12 months. If your agent turns out to be great, one, you actually didn't need the contract at all, because a great agent will provide their value. And I do agree, you need some sort of contract so that way they can give their full effort, but you should be able to tell quite quickly within the first week. And I'll give you like this little side quest tangent. I promise it'll make sense. Is whenever I've hired somebody, by the way, I've been able to, whether it's a vendor, an employee, new team member, etc., right? I can tell quite quickly within 1 to 2 weeks if they're gonna be an A player or if they're gonna be a rock star or not, right? It's pretty rare for like a non-rock star to just turn into a rock star, because you have to go through a lot of trials and tribulations. You got to fight the dragons, etc. Same with real estate agents, same with a mortgage person, same with other, let's call it vendors, right? Is you should be able to tell within 2 weeks, okay? If you don't get that special fuzzy feeling, you definitely got the wrong person, okay? I'm gonna save you. Gosh, I've lost so much money. My wife is behind the screen. She's like, Nathan, you've lost so much money with contractors. Because I was like, maybe they had an off day. She has a better spidey sense for this type of stuff. So I'm trying to save you a lot of money, okay? And I promise you, if you don't get that special feeling and you don't feel like they're a rock star, again, realtor, lender, whoever it is, that's the wrong person. Please move on, because it doesn't get better. They're not gonna magically switch their way. Meaning you gotta have a great first impression. The next meeting, you gotta have a great second impression. Third, great, cool. They're probably gonna be the same, right? So little side quest. So let's go back into it. So we're talking about contracts. So I think the problem with having it be longer than 3 months, which is what I would recommend, like I mentioned, is that contract should be a motivation for both parties. And if you don't find a house in 3 months, I'm sure they're gonna extend it for you, no problem, right? So it's more for, again, both parties to put their both efforts in, right? And something I wanna really drive the point home, the contract doesn't make an agent good. Okay, let me be clear. The contract doesn't make an agent good. There should be other signs that's telling you that this is the one, the special star does, right? So here's the test, is I want you to ask for 3 months for the agreement length. If it's already 3 months, great. If it's more than that, this is where it comes in. So this applies again when you're buying or listing your home, right? When you list your home, you don't want someone to talk you into 6 months into a listing agreement, because it probably shouldn't take 6 months to sell your house, assuming it's priced right and things like that. But that's what the agent's there to help you, advise you for, right? A great agent will, in my opinion, will keep you by being great, okay? And they're going to be confident. They're going to be able to earn your business, things like that. So if you're a real estate agent watching this, you can comment down below. You probably resonate with this. If you're a great agent, you know that you're great. You do a great job. You don't need to do a great job by trapping them, right? And a bad agent, they would push you really hard, and maybe they'd get a little offended when they're giving you a 6-month agreement and you're changing it to 3. They get offended and they react not so politely, meaning they don't have the confidence that they can get it done, right? So like I said, if they're fighting you over 3 versus 6 months or whatever, right? Ask yourself, why are they so worried that you'll want to leave? Now, we've covered quite a bit, and your situation is probably a little unique from the other person that's watching this video. So I actually cover a lot of this stuff during the free guidance call that I offer, again, for free. And you get to actually chat with me, where I actually get to provide 2 to 3 actionable steps to home buyers to get closer to home ownership. And I want you to remember, like, the more specific the advice, the better the advice is going to be, because you want somebody who can see around the corner, okay? Also, if it makes sense and you're interested, we'd love to be your mortgage advisor too. So check the link down below if you're interested. All right, as always, I try to make the best videos in the mortgage education space. Make sure to subscribe, because we're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We'd love for you to join the family. And YouTube is actually recommending you watch this video right over here. It's got this smart algorithm, so it kind of knows what you want to watch, and it's different for everybody. So it's tailored to you, I guess. And as always, keep learning. Catch you in the next one.